Hey, it's Belange here, and I've got a very important topic today, something that I was literally on the verge on, and how I came out the other side. And this is the topic of burnout. Now, the last 2-3 years has been an absolute roller coaster for many entrepreneurs, and if those of us who are still going through it or finding our way out of it, burnout is a real deal. Now, looking back at my own sort of journey as I was on the verge of burnout, it's a purely mental thing. And if you, of course, add the physical side to it gets a lot trickier. But for me, looking back, burnout really comes about when you're doing more things that you don't want to do anymore, that is, more than the things that you actually do want to do. So what do I mean by this? This is like, it's a conflict, and wherever you have conflict you get friction, and wherever you get friction you get heat. So when you're doing a lot of things in your business that you don't want to do, instead of doing the things that you really do want to do, then you cause this friction. Now, there's so many levels to this. So I'm just going to go through it on 2 levels to help you understand what I'm trying to say. Stress is all part of the game, but there's good stress and there's bad stress. And with this whole pandemic going on and the wars and inflations, entrepreneurs have to navigate a very dangerous ocean, right? But you have to stay steadfast to what you truly want in this whole entrepreneur journey that you're taking. So the 2 levels that I want to talk about is, first of all, the mental side of things, because it is predominantly mental. This is the internal misalignment that often leads to procrastination and self-sabotage. And I remember reaching a stage where I no longer saw myself as a photographer, but I was still being requested to do photography work and photography advice because, well, I was good at it. I was really good at it. But in my head, I had already made that identity shift. I'd already shifted onto my next phase, which was what I wanted to do anyways. But due to other circumstances, it was not blended as well as I would have preferred it to be. But I made that internal identity shift, and I no longer saw myself as a photographer internally, but externally I was still doing the photography stuff. And this misalignment caused a lot of friction internally because I hadn't drawn the line in the sand yet. I hadn't said I'm going to stop doing this because it was still bringing in money, and I had sort of other things that I already planned on doing that required money, that I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna keep doing it until I'm all right with it. But I had to draw the line in the sand because it was causing a lot of burnout, because mentally I was burning a lot more energy fighting the 2 sides. So this is what I mean about the whole 2 levels of everything. Your conscious and your subconscious, your internal and your external. When you have conflict in between, it draws friction. Friction creates heat, and that's where this whole notion of burnout happens. Now, on the second level, which is an external level, as I said, I was still doing the photography stuff, and I had to make a change, right? I had to make a change. And in that making the change, I had to clear out my workspace. I cleared out my digital space. I cleared out my mind space. I got rid of like hard drives. I got rid of a lot of things. Like, I had photography and videography tutorials all over my computer. I had magazines. I had a lot of stuff, camera equipment, you name it. There was a lot going on that reflected the fact that I was a photographer or a video person, right? And I've got nothing against it. I loved it during that phase of my life. But during this next phase of my life, I had relegated it to a hobby, right? I enjoy taking pictures if and when I want to take pictures, but not to do it commercially anymore. So I had to get rid of that side of my life. And I did. I kept, of course, a few things. But if anybody knows me, they would know that I have better camera equipment than what I'm filming with now. Like I had 5,000, 6,000 pound camera with 4,000 pound lenses. So I have the equipment, but I chose not to use it because I brought it back down to the very essence of it so that I can move a lot quicker. And that's what I'm filming. I'm using a webcam, a Logitech webcam, which is pretty damn good, but it sure as hell is not a 4K, all the bells and whistles of these professional cameras. But that was irrelevant. I had to sort of separate myself from that identity because it was causing me all these internal conflicts and internal friction. So that had to be dealt with. And in the process of dealing with that, I got myself back in alignment with myself, and I was able to progress in the things that I was doing. Part of confidence comes from being in a great relationship with yourself. It's a major part of it. When you love yourself and you have clarity as to where it is you're going, it brings up this level of confidence in you that you've got what it takes and you're good to move forward. And I never said to myself, I've done this for the last 10 years. I'm really good at it. Why not just continue at it? Because I had already shifted internally. If I wanted to stay on that path, I would have. But internally, my inner self was completely on a whole other game plan. And to stay true to yourself, you have to listen to what your inner self is saying. Like, I don't want to go down that route on this video, but it's important to listen to what your inner self is screaming out for you to do, because that's going to be the path of least resistance to the bag. Trust me. Now, if you are very objective in your thinking and you can remove emotions, then you're able to do things that you don't necessarily feel or like to do, but you can make that bag. By all means, do your thing. But what happens is that when the world shifts and things get difficult, you're gonna bail out because you was never really in it to begin with, right? You was only in it because things were settled or things were good and it was a straight path because you've got those skills, you're all right. But when things got tough, you bailed out. Now, if you're doing things according to some of your innermost purpose in life, let's say, this is not I'll follow your passion and you'll make money kind of thing. But if you have a particular urge to do something a particular way and it's the next phase of your life, then trust me, it's going to be a path of least resistance, which means things happen a lot easier because you are doing what you are quote unquote called for in this business world. So the best way to avoid burnout is to become in alignment with yourself, both internally, externally. What you say, what you do, get in alignment. There's a quote by Jim Rohn that says, work on yourself more than you work on your business. And this is part of it. The self-work is part of it. Getting in alignment with yourself is part of it. You can start a business that you intend to last for 2 years, make your money and shut it down. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to love it. You see an opportunity, you go in, you make money, you get out. Perfectly fine. But whatever it is that you're planning to do for the long term, you need to make sure that you're able to stick it out through the ups and downs. And the only way to do that is to do the things that really do keep you going through thick and thin, and that way you avoid burnout. So I hope that was helpful to somebody. Leave a comment below, like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Share it with a friend if you think it will be helpful and they're in a place of burnout. So thank you and see you on the next one.